Welcome to the Honest Property Podcast with your hosts Becky and Ruth, and today I'm drinking Ethiopian coffee because I need coffee because I was up all night because the dog I'm looking after was not feeling very well.
I'm having water because I cycled here.
Grab yourself a cup of coffee or a cup of tea, whatever you want, whatever you need, caffeinated not, because in this episode we're going to be talking all about sourcing. So this is the Honest Property Podcast with your hosts Becky and Ruth. We talk all about property investing and business.
Entrepreneurship.
So we want to make sure that we are contributing onto the online world with full transparency, the honest experiences that we've had, our honest takes, that we believe, we just think there needs to be more honesty because
more honesty in business
online, so that people are fully aware and have perhaps a more realistic or just another perspective that is a genuine perspective of experiences that other people have had, because in the property world or business world, because Ruth and I have had our fair share.
Yeah, we've had a decade of our fair share and we are now ready to
pass on those experiences because we want to make sure that you are fully informed before making your own decisions and make sure they're aligning with yourself and what your goals are. And if you're anything like us, then
who love and want to continue enjoying being an entrepreneur, a business owner, like they are the ups and downs, but it's important to highlight the downs as well as the ups.
Yeah. So in this episode, we're going to talk about sourcing, and sourcing might be a new concept to beginners to property. And I don't know how long it's actually been around for. I reckon it's actually relatively recent.
No, it's been around for ages.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I remember learning about it in our education.
Oh, yeah. It's been around, but I think it's just grown in popularity.
Yes, it's grown in popularity, and I think a lot to do with social media. And for us, it was recent because we've always done our own numbers, found our own properties,
did our own due diligence, did our own viewings, negotiated by ourselves with agents and landlords.
So far, so good. We've done great.
Yeah, happily we'll do our own due diligence, but we have had our own experiencing with sourcing. Now, we have been in touch with different sourcing companies. And just to explain, what is sourcing? So sourcing is basically a sort of business model within the property realm whereby you take the workload away from somebody by identifying a property opportunity. So there are different sources who are sort of niched. There are a lot of sources who tend to be niche.
Yes. Also, just to add as well, sorry to just butt in, the reason why a lot of people take sources because, like, for our own experience, because we were running another business, I just had a kid. We didn't have time on our hands as we used to in our 20s. So this was a reason why we thought, we'll use a sourcer just to help speed up what the time we don't have to source properties for us.
You're basically paying somebody to take the time and effort away from you to identify properties that may be a good investment.
Because they don't have time themselves, because they could be working in a full-time job, or for whatever reason, then they just don't have the time to be able to do that due diligence themselves.
Yeah. So in the whole concept is really smart, and you can make a lot of money. So it's a very easy way for people to get into property. It's also, I would say, a good training ground for you to learn how to identify what properties are good.
That's a good
and then you
ground,
save money by selling these projects to investors to be able to purchase your own. However, it does take a lot of time. With potentially no reward, because what if you don't sell it, or the owner of that property decides to sell to somebody else? Time is of the essence with it. It's a lot of work.
It's also very unregulated, I will add.
Yes.
Sorry, that's something to discuss later, but
no, we can discuss it now.
It's very unregulated.
So what you're basically buying is a packaged sale, is a deal. And there will be people who oftentimes probably don't own a property themselves, and through that lack of experience especially as a beginner. I mean, I'll give every beginner in anything, cut them some slack. But if you are working with a sourcer who doesn't have their own investment properties, they don't appreciate quite the true the realities of what is entailed when it comes to, say, the genuine numbers. Perhaps they're so motivated to sell a project or a property
just to sell as many as they can within the month.
Yes.
So because it's unregulated, we will say
the numbers might not be as accurate.
Yeah, that's why you need to know how to do your own numbers. This is a must. You cannot rely on someone else
to do them for you. And we've made this mistake ourselves. We will go into that one a little bit later. But somebody could come because they're trying to make a sale. And thing is, on average, every deal that you source for an investor to buy is around about £3,000. So there's a lot on the line there. That's a lot of money when all you had to do was, all you had to do is a lot to do, but you basically had to find a property that somebody was willing to sell, put a spreadsheet together and say that this is going to work as a good investment. And then
there's also a lot of sources who co-source with each other. We've co-sourced properties as well, but we've leveraged off someone else doing the work, but knowing that the numbers work. So this is quite normal in the sourcing industry where you have several people co-sourcing and they split the commission.
Yeah, so it could very well be that you are actually an active investor and you have, say you found 5 properties that were promising and you cherry picked the best one, but you had 4 that were still available. You could just sell them on to other investors and make a sourcing fee from them. I don't know how many people actually realistically do that. I don't think we bother ourselves too much with trying to sell deals outside of the investments we're doing. We pretty much put all of our focus into the property that we found, but there's opportunity there to still sell. Maybe not your top project, but you could sell the others to other people.
A lot of people go into sourcing, especially if they're very young, when they don't own a property, to be able to build up the finances to be able to buy the first one.
Yeah,
that's quite common.
Yeah, I think we did touch on that.
Oh, did we? Oh, my brain.
Oh, coffee. So with sourcing, as we say, it's unregulated. There is you need to be really meticulous.
I'm going to say there's a lot of cowboys out there, and that is unfortunate, but it's the truth. And you really, really need to get to know your sourcer, not just rely on anyone just selling you a deal, because you're essentially JVing with them to provide you a deal. You're paying them money and you need to make sure you have a good relationship with them. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Especially if you're wanting to continue buying properties from that same sourcer.
Yeah. So with our experience, we used a sourcer when we were going through our rent-to-serviced accommodation era. It's now closed. We have a whole episode on that. We'll put the link to that podcast episode down below because we had a lot to say about it. But we did use a sourcer in order to find rent-to-serviced accommodation opportunities in our area. And we had very limited. We didn't want to invest outside of where we lived
too far
because we knew we had to set it all up and we weren't prepared to take the time out to drive the distance and coordinate that.
But there is sourcing packages where it's like a turnkey service. Is that the right word?
Yeah.
Turnkey service where some people do rent to SA or buy a property, and someone will do like a whole turnkey service, and a lot of people
develop it for you, refurbish it for you, manage it for you, tenant it for you,
and then you don't do anything.
Yeah, so we kind of had that sort of experience in a way.
I want to just say that if you are buying a property and you're having a turnkey service that's provided from a sourcer, you need to go visit the property. Do not just accept a property without that you are potentially going to buy just because the sourcer has said
The numbers are going
to work. You need to do your own due diligence and go see that property.
Because when it comes to a turnkey service, the sourcer, who is a sales agent, I mean, everyone's here to make a sale and we're here to...
Yeah, we're going to be honest.
Right?
It's a business.
It's a business.
Just like any business,
So
whether you're a green grocer
They
or...
will get a 3K, they'll get their sourcing fee, which is probably around 3K. Then if they are refurbishing it for you and staging it for you, they will get a fee for that. And then if they are managing it for you from then on, they're also getting their management fee for that. So the beauty of being a sourcer is there's very little to lose. It's just your time at the beginning to package this deal together and sell it to someone else. But there's nothing really on the line. Whereas if you say it was a rent-to-rent situation like we had, we paid our sourcer 3K, and then we actually staged it ourselves. We were very adamant about
that was a way of saving money.
Yeah, that saved money because we were like, no, it's okay. We can. We're more than happy to do the interiors ourselves.
It made it worth then paying someone to sort. We balanced whether having a sourcer and then us being able to do the refurbishment made sense for us.
Yeah, but then that sourcer also became the management of the property. So for that person, they get the initial sale and then they get recurring income afterwards if they manage it.
It is quite a new thing.
Yeah. And I think because they are trying to make a sale, we did find a lot of deals. There's going to be a lot of sources out there that give you very optimistic, over-optimistic numbers, which is why we really emphasize, make sure you do diligence, even if you use a sourcer. It's kind of, I guess it's tricky to verify who's honest and good unless it's word of mouth.
But like also, you cannot completely know. It's a business. It's a risk at the end of the day. The numbers are never always going to be absolutely accurate what's on paper. And that's something to highlight.
But I found, in honesty, that every deal that I found online... So with service accommodation, there's occupancy rates. Occupancy rates is how long somebody is going to be in your property for in a month. Say a good occupancy rate for an Airbnb, which is service accommodation, is like 60% and above. If
you are finding that your occupancy rate is less than that, don't do the deal.
So that means you're likely to have guests staying in that property for more than half the time, in order for you to reap any profit.
Yeah, because a lot of the time, winter time is usually a quiet season, and the rest of the year is not.
Yeah,
so
we look at average occupancy rates. But these deals, most of the deals that I was finding and questioning several different sources about, the occupancy rate is always put at 10% more than what our due diligence was actually saying. And the typical excuse, I will say excuse, for that is that they say, oh, well, that particular program that you use, we used AirDNA, doesn't incorporate all of the possible platforms. It only incorporates 2. It only incorporates Airbnb and VRBO. It doesn't factor in booking.com, etc. However, something to consider if you are questioning whether something's a good deal for the same reasons that we were. If it doesn't work on Airbnb, which is the top platform at those occupancy rates, then I would safely say that it's not going to work for the other ones.
Yeah.
So if they justify, but it's 10% more because of this, that, or the other, go with your pessimistic gut. Go with the pessimistic number first. If it doesn't work well on Airbnb.
Also, I would also say if you find a sourcer that is going to be, who's put into the deal that they would manage, that was a requirement for us that we didn't want to manage. So we were like, oh yeah, actually having someone manage and they're sourcing, they're following through. So that was like something. The big lesson from that is...
Why would they sell you a deal that wouldn't work?
Because a lot of sources, they sell you a deal and then sometimes you can be ghosted. So that was a plus for us to know that a sourcer was going to continue managing.
We thought that was
property.
A good sign.
That was a good sign.
But
I want to say, if you are going to use a sourcer that does manage, offers management after, and you have something in writing in a contract saying that they are managing, you need to make sure that you know that they are able to also do direct bookings. that like not just relying on just the platforms. They need to be able to do direct bookings with guests as well.
That
so
they're proactive management. Yeah. So our biggest lessons are it's unregulated. That's just take heed. It's unregulated. They're gonna want to make you a sale.
Maybe it will be one day, which is good.
It's an easy entry thing. It's quite saturated. A lot of people are selling deals,
unicorn deals.
I think a genuine sourced property is one that you couldn't find on Rightmove or Zoopla yourself. It's direct to the landlord or the vendor. And would we use a sourcer again? I think yes.
Yeah.
We would.
Yeah, we would.
I think for the most part, we would be open to seeing what projects other people have. And if their due diligence aligns with our due diligence, then we would seriously consider it.
Go on.
No. But I would take heed,
caution.
Have a lot of caution. It's unregulated. There's a lot of fresh-faced people who are not investors themselves. I would probably.
But they run it as a business.
It feels like, in honesty, the whole platform for I got a unicorn deal, and it's just a bit of a car. Like it feels like a slimy
I know
car
this is going to
sales.
sound really awful, but it's something where when we see that, it does make us want to roll our eyes back into our head because it is so unregulated. And and unless you understand that at the end of the day, they are a salesperson, then just act with caution, be mindful. There's nothing wrong with selling anything.
No, it's a great idea
because you're selling a service, you're selling someone that can solve someone's problem. But just
it's so easy entry, and anyone can put something on paper, anyone can go on Rightmove and find something. To me, I would need, at this point, having had that experience, I would need to know that it aligns with our pessimistic numbers. And go with your gut. If it doesn't align with, if their numbers, they're just trying to oversell something that wasn't actually going to be that profitable, then
run, don't walk. I'm just saying that like it's true. Yeah, you need to trust your own due diligence, know how to work your numbers, and then see if it aligns with the person that's selling you a deal. There's nothing wrong. Don't feel pressured. Don't feel like there's time of the essence. Even if they tell you to hurry and they say, the deal's going to go soon, just be cool. Fine, it's not for you then. And that's fine to just say, this one can pass. I will find one that actually aligns. Never feel pressured. Never feel pressured to take on a deal if you're not ready. Because I know that sometimes in business, they say you just got to just do it and just don't think too much. But I think when it comes to, especially when you're buying your own buying a property deal that you're going to hold onto the asset, you need to really make sure, because it's going to be your responsibility for the long run, hopefully, because you're going to try and hold on to that property for a long time. You need to be able to feel completely confident with the deal and your own numbers before their numbers.
Yeah, it can save you a lot of time, but
it saves a lot of time. If you're busy, it's a really great like sourcing is there's a space for sourcing.
There is a space for sourcing. I think, I would probably, I know, like, I just don't think you also need to sell every opportunity. I would personally get yourself a group of investor friends.
Yeah.
And as you are sifting through all the opportunities for yourself, share them with each other, that the ones that you don't want, and you don't have to make fast money off of everybody all the time. Just you lift each other up by sharing opportunities that you might not be taking on yourself with your community. That I think that's the best way I would want to personally do it.
Just build a network of people around you who are investing, and like Becky said, don't it's easier to fight to make it's not easier, but it's better to make long-lasting investor relationships and help each
genuinely
other.
help each
Genuinely
other,
help each other.
and like club together and just like actually bring each other up and encourage each other.
Because then you know that the people who you've made good relationships with hopefully aren't going to screw you. You know, they're
They're not going to ghost you.
It's like they won't give you a deal which they wouldn't take on themselves. Otherwise, that relationship's ended very quickly.
Yeah, that would be, I think, the best way to source. And it's
Yeah.
not really a financial exchange. It's more, I think it's more valuable than that.
Yeah.
Really, it's an ongoing relationship with somebody, like an investor that I know was taking on, she was stuck between two properties, took on one, turned it to an HMO, was like, well, this was the one I was going to go for. Do you want it? Do you want to have a look at it? And there was not going to be any financial exchange involved with that. And then it would be totally up to me to coordinate how that proceeds with the owner of that property. It's not like she owned that property and it was totally exclusive to her to sell it to me. It was up to me then whether I pursue it or not, or whether the numbers worked out the way that she said it would. It's
more real.
It's real, yeah. It is a little bit weird if somebody goes online and they find a Rightmove property and they say, this is exclusively mine and sign this non-disclosure agreement, you can't share it with anybody. If it's on a public marketplace, I'm a bit like, well, it's for anyone then. The owner of that property has very clearly expressed that it's not necessarily exclusively yours, and I do feel a little bit cheated when somebody does that. Okay, this is a little bit of a hack. If somebody sends you a sourced property with the images, you can check if that is a genuine direct to vendor or direct to agent property by screenshotting that listing, putting it on Google image search and seeing if it comes up on Zoopla or Rightmove. If it does, I personally don't feel like that person is entitled to charge £3,000 for that particular deal.
Yeah, that's a really good tip.
That's my 2 cents.
I think that's true.
If it doesn't come up,
why are you paying? If it comes up, why are you paying for a direct-to-vendor deal when that's not the truth?
It's not very exclusive then, is it, if the whole world knows about it? Yeah.
That's a good point.
I've done it loads of times. I was like, I see you saying it's going to be this, but it's a due diligence you have to do. I think make that part of your due diligence if you're going to work with a sourcer. And then you can really double check if those numbers stack. When I say stack, that means you've put them on a spreadsheet and you know that it's going to be profitable or not.
Yeah, like your own deal analyzer.
Just really conscious I'm using jargon and I don't want to alienate anybody.
Do let us know though in the comments if we are saying certain words that you don't understand, then we will comment or make sure as well that we are
fully explaining. Yeah, so we would use a sourcer again, do due diligence. It's a really easy entry thing to get into. A lot of people are doing it. It can feel a little bit like a slimy sales shop.
Yeah, I mean, we've been in WhatsApp groups with sourcing agents and it's like non-stop. Like it is sales at the end of the day.
And I think there's there's not that much in-depth care whether any particular opportunity is genuinely good.
Yeah, it's sold on ghost.
Yeah, and there's so many stories of that actually.
Oh my goodness, yeah. We've heard many stories.
Yeah, and also co-sourcing, I would say obviously we think we're genuine and we would only pass on authentic deals, but be conscious if somebody is co-sourcing, kind of is like the effect of Chinese whispers, like it's diluting the quality of that service. If co-sourcing is basically, say a sourcer found an opportunity, but they don't have a good network of investors to be able to sell it on to somebody. Yes. So they work with somebody who does have a good network, and they split the commission. but those two people may never have had a good relationship with each other in the beginning. And I just hear a lot of stories of those sort of working arrangements going south. So it might be that.
So be mindful of that, because we've have co-sourced properties, but because we knew our sourcer, so we had a relationship already with them. But there's a lot of co-sourcers that are in groups where they don't really know each other. They have
bad communication with each other.
So we've experienced that by buying buying a source deal from someone who was co-sourcing with someone else, and they were not communicating at all.
Yeah, and then that just delays the whole bit, but it does just really impact the quality of that service.
Our first one, wasn't it? Our first one, there was no communication and we dropped out the deal.
Yeah?
Yeah, oh my God, I forgot about that.
Yeah. We were like, what's going on? Well, why are we on delay? Like, we're ready to move ahead.
Remember that?
No. I don't. I feel like we've done this sort of thing so many times.
Yeah.
But from experience,
be mindful.
Be cautious. Take heed. Ideally, try and identify your own opportunities yourself. I think there's so much value in just doing it yourself.
Learning is doing it yourself.
I also really feel like, okay, this is good for people who don't have that much time, but they have the money. But I would make time.
Make time. Just try and make time.
Really try and
or work
time.
with people that you really trust.
Yeah. If there's anything in your gut that's like sus, don't. Then don't. Yeah. So if you have any insights or experiences,
we'd love to hear.
We would love to hear
yours. Yeah.
Put a comment down below if you're watching this on YouTube, or send us a DM on Instagram, and we would love to discuss more, because
we would love to discuss more.
We don't think that people talk about the sourcing world, the realities of that enough either. So
thank you for listening to the podcast today.
Yeah, we will see you in the next one.
Toodaloo.